Madam City Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Cardenas Singh,
Present.
Councilmember Carter,
Present.
Councilmember Oliva,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia,
Present.
Mayor Marroquin. Councilmember Oliva, would you please lead us in the
If
flag?
you could all please stand, face the flag. Right hand over your heart, ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please remain standing. Councilmember Carter, please lead us in an invocation.
Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we just simply say thank you. And we ask you to go and protect everybody high and low right now throughout the storms everywhere. The people who have shelter, those who don't have shelters. I've seen a lot on the news. Protect those that are losing their homes. Their homes have been just destroyed in the storm. Just put your arms of protection around our people as we continue to pray for them. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Madam City Attorney, do you have any reports on closed session?
There is no reportable action from this closed session, Madam Mayor.
Okey-dokey. And so at this time, we will go into public comments. This is a public meeting. If there is an item on the agenda on which you wish to be heard, you are asked to complete a blue speaker slip and submit it to the city clerk prior to the start of the meeting. Persons wishing to address the city council are not required to identify themselves. However, this information assists the mayor by ensuring that all persons wishing to address the council are recognized and also assists the city clerk in preparing the city council meeting minutes. When the item is announced and your name is called by the mayor, please step to the podium and state your name for the record. Unless the mayor extends the time, there is a 3-minute time limit for each public presentation. If you wish to address the council concerning any other matter not appearing on the agenda, you may do so during the public comment portion of the agenda. However, you may not show a visual presentation without review of that material. If you do so, you will be considered out of order. And Madam City Clerk, do we have any public requests for public comment?
We have none, Mayor.
All righty. Okay, and at this time, we have a presentation, a certificate of recognition to the Real Hope Center. And Mr. and Mrs. Ellett are in the audience. Would you like to please come up to the podium?
We want to thank you very, very, very much for this opportunity to be in front of you. And I just handed you a newsletter. I'm sorry, I didn't think of doing that before. Just a quick recap of our year of service to our wonderful families, moms, dads in the Imperial County. So we did see, just a quick recap, 14 babies were born that we were a part of, 802 client visits, different client visits, 981 sets of 20 diapers. We actually have to divide the diapers, and they know that their 1 point earns them 20 diapers. So we give them in sets when they earn their points. 511 sets of baby clothes. Again, it's several pairs of pants and a top, sets of clothes. 6 sets of maternity clothes, 14 outreach events, and 3 abortion recovery retreats. We also reach out to women or men that have had abortions that want to work through that healing process and really have a wonderful time with them. And so I'd like to introduce our board to you. Would that be appropriate?
Yes, that'd be.
Come on, stand up. This is our board of directors, which we're also all volunteers at Real Hope Center. This is Lucy Trujillo, which I'd like to have her share something real quick. Monica Lozano and Faye Villero. Lucy Trujillo's been with us from the very beginning. She's a volunteer, but she also does our Speak Up event. Last weekend, we had what we call Speak Up Imperial Valley, where several of the women who've had an abortion shared their testimony. I'm gonna let Lucy speak to you just for a minute, okay?
Good evening, esteemed council. What is the proper term?
No, that's
Council.
fine. Yes, that's fine.
Esteemed council. My name is Luz Trujillo, like Mrs. Ellett introduced me. I am a volunteer at the Real Hope Center since 2009. I'm also a domestic violence survivor, and I've also have had an abortion. So I've also helped women recover from having an abortion with the Real Hope Center, and had the privilege of seeing women go through the recovery as I went through recovery. So being there from 2009 present, seeing the effects of abortion, and also be able to give hope to women to keep their children and be part of Real Hope Center. So thank you so much for your time.
Yes. Amen. Yeah, that's all our participation. We didn't.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs.
Yes.
and Lucy.
Yes,
And-
we're just very thankful for your appreciation and recognition. Thank you.
Well, on behalf of the city of El Centro, we would like to extend to you a certificate of recognition in recognition of the invaluable services and contributions that you make each and every day. Thank you for your dedication and generosity that you and your volunteers provide to the residents of El Centro and the Imperial Valley. So on behalf of my colleagues, I would like to present this certificate of recognition to you. And if you'd like to come up and along with your team members. And if you, colleagues, would you like to join me for a picture? Oh, there's. You want to, let's get together here so that we can. Oh, sorry.
All right, here we go.
All righty. Okay. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Ellett.
People come to us, we help them as much as we can, as long as we can, as much as we can. But all we do, we don't really change anybody. We bring people to the Lord Jesus, and He does the miracles. He does the changing. So we're just like little mediators, little service. So
Well, thank you,
very much.
Mr.
each one.
Ellett. Thank you for the service that you provide to the community. We really do appreciate it. Ready? So now, the consent agenda. Do any of the colleagues wish to pull any items? And if not so, then, let me see, do we have, so that was moved by Sonia, Councilmember Carter, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Edgar Garcia. Please vote. And so that passes 5-0. Okie dokie. So going on to new business, discussion and any necessary action regarding the appointment of the city manager and fire chief as representatives of the Imperial Valley Hazardous Incidents Response Committee representing the city of El Centro. And so our fire chief, Mr. Joseph Bernal, will then present this item.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. The item we bring before you today is the appointment of myself and the city manager to the Hazardous Incidents Response Committee as a part of the JPA. This particular committee has been, I won't say defunct, hasn't been
Active? maybe?
active, yeah.
Yes,
It hasn't
mhm.
been active for some time, and in spirit, and as it's called out in the agreement, the city manager and his designee should be appointed as representatives for the city of El Centro. There are 11 member agencies as a part of the agreement. And as you might see, the agreement is pretty old and it needs to be revised. And as a part of that, we want to make sure that we're complying with the agreement as it calls out who we need to represent on behalf of El Centro. So we're bringing that before you. That way we can get to work on updating the agreement and making sure that hazardous materials incidents are responded to appropriately throughout the Imperial County. That's pretty much it, unless you have any questions. It's just myself and City Manager Cesenia.
I know, takes some getting used to, doesn't
Old
it? Colleagues, any questions or comments? Ready? So that was, motion was moved by Councilmember Gardana Singh, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Edgar Garcia. Please vote. And that passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you. So that is adopting resolution number 24-05, resolution of the City Council of the City of El Centro, making and confirming city appointments to the Joint Powers Hazardous Incidents Response Team. Alrighty, now going on to item number 6, extension of ordinance providing the deferral of certain development impact fees. And Mr. Angel Hernandez, our Community Development Director, will be making this presentation.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of City Council. The item before you is a request from staff to consider adopting an ordinance which would continue our fee deferral for certain development and capacity fees. Now, this is a very important incentive that we offer to development community whenever they want to build here in El Centro. And what it does is it defers the payment of those capacity and development impact fees from originally it's usually due whenever they get their building permit, but it would defer it to up to the final inspection or the certificate occupancy. Now, in some form or another, this ordinance has been in effect since at least 2010, and it was last adopted in April 2021. The version that's before you tonight does have 2 changes I want to highlight. The first change is it basically the previous ordinance would expire in 3 years. This version of ordinance would expire in 5 years, and that's a result of a roundtable that we had in 2022. That at that time the mayor Olivas was part of, and we heard from the development community that they requested that the term of this ordinance be extended because just the nature of development, they find a site, they apply for the permits, they get the financing. They just want more certitude that this is a incentive that they could take advantage of. And the other change in the ordinance is that before, the previous version of ordinance would require that the developer, that the applicant pay their capacity fees or development impact fees within 1 year of being given this deferral. And sometimes with these major development projects, especially like the ones that really take advantage of this, sometimes construction takes longer than a year, and it was kind of a difficult thing for them to like defer or accept a deferral. So the version before you would basically change the period of deferral up to the final inspection or the issuance of that certificate occupancy. So there's always that one kind of fast check that the city could do to ensure that we do get the payment for those impact fees and capacity fees. With that, the ordinance that's before you would expire in 2029, and I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Colleagues, any questions for Mr. Hernandez? Okay.
So colleagues, I just wanted to add some context into why this is important. And that is that when we were asked why we hadn't seen additional residential development in the city of El Centro, that led us to having a roundtable with stakeholders, and we're talking realtors, we're talking developers, right? Anyone that's part of that conversation or that ecosystem. And what they highlighted was that the planning and the acceptance of the blueprint, the framework, right, going through the planning commission, the approval through staff, a lot of that stuff can last up to 18 months, if not more, right? And because of that, what was once upon, at the beginning of that process, the interest rate nationally in any mortgage rate could very well be different 18 months later. And it could be even higher, it could be lower. And so what they said is that volatility of what the interest rate could be over the span of 2 different years that we have seen during COVID, they wanted some sense of security in lowering their risk in building out homes. And what that meant was asking the city to defer capacity fees and impact fees to the city. Now, just to highlight, it's a deferral, it's not a waiver, which means that they can go ahead and invest and build the homes, and what they owe the city will get paid once the home is sold, gone through escrow, and money is collected. it'll get paid to the city. So it allows them to reduce that risk to actually move forward in building housing that we need. And so that is the spirit behind this ordinance. And so we wanted to extend it beyond 3 years to 5 to also capture again the fact that we have seen just erratic changes in mortgage rates. And so that does affect, as they begin to plan these homes and set prices and whatnot, it could change whether they like it or not. And so having this deferral and having this deferral last 5 years instead of 3 will allow them a little bit more certainty as they move forward. So I just wanted to make sure that I reported back as to, I remember that meeting at the community center on the east side.
Yes, I was there with
yeah.
you, yeah.
And so it was really eye-opening because I'm not a developer, but it was great to hear that feedback on how we can work together. So this is a result of taking those notes and being able to do something.
Okay. Anyone else wish to comment or any questions?
Just a brief comment. I can completely agree with the spirit behind the deferral. I mean, we, just like my colleague said, we have seen interest rates in general just balloon at times. And, you know, they've been trying to control them recently. They're starting to stabilize at this point. But the difference to a home buyer and to a developer in turn is it could be up to $100,000 from one period to the next. So I think it's really good that we're showing a commitment to work with developers that are going to bring the much needed infrastructure and homes that we need here for our residents. So I definitely would support this.
I too attended the Imperial Valley Realtors Association meeting and definitely echoed the same sentiment, right? That we should take a look at the opportunity of being good stewards, if you will, when we talk about development and opportunity with such limiting house stock that we have in El Centro. So it makes complete sense that we develop opportunities that are favorable to helping the growth of our city.
And now with the extension of Imperial Avenue to the south, you know, we are hopefully looking for new housing development out the south end of town to continue on with, you know, and address the shortage of housing that we have, you know, and it's not only in our community, it's throughout the state.
Sure.
Yes, you know, so, you know, this is a very welcome change. And Councilmember Oliva, thank you, because I do recall I attended that roundtable discussion with you and that room was full. And it wasn't just real estate developers and real estate agents and brokers. There were also representatives there from the IID, I recall, and there were many other agencies that were represented that have an integral part of development in the city. So, you know, I'm glad to see this come to fruition. So
Time to
thank you.
build.
Yes.
Get it.
Time to build.
Yes, let's
Yeah,
go, you know, because
development
that
is
was,
important.
that was a big deterrent. I do remember, you know, because it's a huge expense that the developers are incurring up front, you know, so deferring it, you know, for them really will make a huge impact on development here within our city. So thank you, Mr. Hernandez, already. So I see that all of the members.
Were you going to say anything?
Oh, no, I was just talking about the development, that's very important here in the Valley.
So that was moved by Councilmember Cardenas Singh, seconded by Councilmember Oliva, and all of us have voted, and that ordinance passes 5-0. So that is the approval of ordinance number 24-01, an uncodified ordinance of the City Council of the City of El Centro, California, providing for the continuing deferral of payment of certain development impact fees. All righty. So, oh my gosh. So now we go on to a new information item, and our Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Edgar Garcia, will be presenting consideration of solar lighting with wireless for city parks.
Thank you, colleagues, for this opportunity. Just briefly, recently I was approached by a company which provides solar lighting for public park facilities. And the interesting part about it is not just lighting, but they also incorporate wireless hotspots to provide internet essentially to anybody who's in that vicinity of the park. So I think that because we've focused so much on our parks and recreation lately, that we've been putting a lot of money into the infrastructure to those parks, and we're seeing that they're being used at record numbers by our residents. I think this would be a natural incorporation into that. They have done similar projects in other California cities, and I think that it would be a benefit to all of our residents and visitors, specifically because the lighting is state-of-the-art LED lighting, which is essentially on motion sensors. So there is always a level of lighting for the facilities, but if there's activity during the late hours, then it lights up a little brighter. And I think that could be a benefit to law enforcement if there's any illicit activity occurring in our facilities that we obviously don't want. And also providing internet for our residents, for students and whoever happens to be in the park. I think that's a great idea. The government code specifically provides special procedures for energy efficient projects. So we have been presented with a letter of intent from this one company that's a non-binding letter of intent that essentially would allow them to start looking into our facilities and see what they could bring to us and thereby craft a proposal for it. We can also discuss other steps for initiating such a project. We can do many things like an energy assessment to confirm what the benefit is. That's essentially what they would do, or whether we're going to do sole source or put this out for contracting, and also the funding mechanism and the timing of it. My understanding is that these companies essentially work with public benefit grants that are currently on the books in Sacramento. So it's a matter of crafting a project that could fit within the purview of our facilities that are already established and going forward from there. So I just wanted to bring that as an information item.
Well, hopefully that, the funding will come, and, if that, we could make that a reality, for our residents. I think that would not only enhance, what we've already done to our parks around the city, but really add other services, resources, for our residents. So, Mr. Garcia, thank you so much, for sharing that with us. How long, do you have any idea, what the time frame would be for,
Well,
something like this in terms of the funding?
My understanding is that the first step needs to be the assessment. So we can look at what the benefit would be to us and how we could move forward with which facilities specifically we want to start such a project with. Once we start getting that type of information, then we can move forward with grant applications and things of that nature. But the people that are in charge of these types of projects, they generally do that or assist the city rather, to make sure that they can go out for funding like that. So this is not something that I envision that we would be spending Measure P funds or anything like that. That's not the case at all. We'd be looking for outside grants. There's a lot of energy efficient grants right now that are available. There's a lot of funding. It's just a matter of having a viable project that you can do that with. And like I said, the people that specifically approached me have done this in other cities. I've seen presentations that they've done. I believe one of them was La Puente, where they had a historic problem with their parks, and now their parks are lit up and they have internet access. So I think them having a proven track record with communities like that is something that we should definitely explore.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Garcia. Okay, so now we move on to, wow. It's 6:25 and we're at task force reports.
Rub it in, Mayor.
This is, I guess, we're not on fire for no reason at all, right? So, okie dokie. All right, so let's start with Councilmember Cardenas Singh.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. As far as my report is concerned, had the opportunity to meet our Attorney General, Mr. Rob Bunta, who was here at our Centro Public Library. Great opportunity to host him and to have that opportunity to have great discussions. In addition to that, groundbreaking historical moment, as many of us got to attend the CTR's Hell's Kitchen, the birth of Lithium Valley. So that was great. That was on January the 28th. Also had the opportunity to have our downtown ad hoc committee in which we continue to assess and review improvements that can take place in our downtown area and that we are being great or good partners to business owners. Had the opportunity to witness the swearing-in ceremony for the beginning of our Imperial Valley Healthcare District Board, another groundbreaking moment, historical moment here for the Imperial Valley. I had the opportunity to attend our Pioneers Day at Imperial Valley Museum. That's just a great opportunity to see families come together and enjoy the history that we have here in the Imperial Valley. And today had the opportunity to attend our Imperial County Local Transportation Authority meeting in which we took a look at our finances and our fiscal and audit report that was given back to us. So that is the end of my report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Oliva?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. It's great to see you all. And I know that there's been a lot that has happened. And so I will try to be as brief as possible so that you can hit a record, Madam Mayor. So as many of you know, I think the City Council has really put their best foot forward in that many of us serve on Cal City's committees, right? As opposed to other councils that may just have one or two because of what their schedule allows. But I'm very proud that a significant amount of us serve on that. And so I happen to serve on the Environmental Quality Committee, and we had our first meeting last month to go over the policies and the principles and just the general pillars of what Cal Cities is going to adopt, but as well as looking at the new legislation that dictates our trash collection. And it's more the headache that a lot of cities are going through in terms of the new regulations related to our trash. And so that's something that they're going to be diving into. And our next meeting is going to be in person in March, but I believe there's 4 meetings throughout the year. 3 are virtual. The March meeting is in person. And so as we bulk up into more depth, I'll make sure to report back as to what is discussed. As mentioned, the Attorney General, Rob Bonta, visited us, I believe,
It was on the
22nd? 22nd, yes. I'm trying to remember the emails in my mind. But it was a pleasure to be able to host, right, as a community, the Attorney General. We don't get too many constitutional officers that decide to come out here and visit. So it was nice that he came out and had an opportunity to sit down or at least exchange words with our district attorney, with our sheriff, and other leaders of the community. Every year in January, Imperial County embarks and organizes the point-in-time count, right? As many of you know, this is a requirement from HUD, which is the Housing and Urban Development Department from the federal government. And I just have to say, I know the county spearheads this effort, but Ana Garcia from our team is stellar. And she, every year, coordinates a lot of the public safety and a lot of the first responders and a lot of the volunteers. And she spends most of this, collecting donations throughout the year and building up all that inventory and setting the schedule, determining the sites and where to dispatch. But as we lead up in December, she's hosting several volunteer workshops because you have to attend a workshop in order to participate. So she spent most of December doing that, the first half of January doing that, and then leads the effort at 5 in the morning to get all the volunteers out by 5:30 in the morning and just sends them out to different parts of Imperial County to count the unsheltered. I've done El Centro several times. I think last year Mario and I did Calexico, which was eye-opening because I didn't realize how many unsheltered people lived in that section of Calexico. And then this year I was able to take a look at Sili and Ocotillo. And so it really, I bring it up and I'm spending a little extra time because I really do hope that for those of us that have grown up in Imperial County, there are portions of this county that you wouldn't imagine people living in. And so to just ask you to challenge yourself in participating next year, because this is done every year. And it is eye-opening to see Imperial County as our home in a different angle and in a different direction, right? You would never imagine that areas that you pass by all the time, and there are perhaps some unsheltered people there. And so to the police officers, and I know the fire department who helped coordinate and help secure all of that, thank you. I know the next day they did the slabs. I did not go to the slabs this year, but that's also an eye-opening experience as well. Next would be also echoing the Hell's Kitchen groundbreaking, and I think that it was important to mention this again because we had representatives from the White House, we had the member of Congress, we had folks from the state come down, and what it is it's phase one of lithium extraction. And the way that they lay it out is that this is phase one of many phases to come, and the efficiency, meaning the amount of acreage that the footprint is currently for phase one and the amount of lithium they're able to extract is highly efficient. And it is going to be a large amount. So when they start multiplying it and saying, so now imagine if we're able to recover this much of lithium with just 40 acres, imagine how much it's going to be with 4,000 acres or the exponential factor of it. And so it is impressive to know just how much lithium they'll recover and how much that is going to go towards our energy goals, our defense goals, because certainly lithium has a role in our national defense as well as our energy goals. So that I think is the importance of why everyone is really excited about lithium. The Imperial Valley Healthcare District Board was sworn in this room, and I'm very happy that we were able to be a part of that. Again, host the Imperial Valley Healthcare District. It is monumentous. It is historic for Imperial County, and I think it's the next chapter in where we need to go in order to save and sustain our healthcare district here in Imperial County. So the El Centro Regional Medical Center is scheduled to have a presentation related to our finances and the overview of it all this Thursday. I think the Imperial Valley Healthcare District has their next board meeting here Thursday evening, and so Pablo will be presenting that. ECRMC's next board meeting is February 26th, and we stand ready to work hand in hand with the IVHD board moving forward. So I conclude, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Olivan. Thank you for all of that. Councilmember Carter.
Good evening. Good evening. I echo a lot of events that my colleagues talked about, but I want to use my time to encourage you to come out first by saying Happy Black History Month. I'm excited about this because I had the chance to be out at IVC and say the poem for the Black History Month, and I'm encouraging you because that was the kickoff on February 1st, and they're going to have another presentation out there February 22nd. It's going to be phenomenal. Then we're having one here in the 29th, I do believe, of February, but those flyers will be out as well. But I encourage you to go out and support and learn about the Black history and find out what's going on because it's very interesting. It is only 1 month that we really celebrate, but all year long I talk about it, and this is just who I am, and I just encourage you to go out and get some knowledge on it. So, and I want to, the Rosetta and the Mount Calvary Missionary Club, there was a play that went on Saturday. It was at the church at Second Baptist on the east side, and phenomenal. There was a ladies that came from LA, and they, it was about 5 of them, and they worked that whole play, that whole stage, like it was an hour and a half long, but it did not seem like it was that long because it was that interesting. It was just that they hit this topic, that topic. It was very, very nice play. That was nice. And I said, why haven't I seen that before? But I'm glad they brought it to El Centro. She said that they do it in LA all the time. They've been to Phoenix, but they've never been here. So this was the first time of them coming here, and it was a packed house. So I was excited to be a part of that too. And also the Task Force to End Homeless team. When I say that team, I got in my car after our meeting And when I leave work, I sit in my car for a minute because when you work with kids, you definitely got to debrief. So yeah, you just got to sit there and think for a minute. So after our task force, the homeless meeting, I had to sit in my car and think for a minute. And I thought, okay, what do I call this team? Teamwork that makes the dream work. That's what I thought about because everybody had different ideas in there. Nobody had the same ideas. So it was everybody had the same mentality to help, to want to see what our next is, what we can do to help people, how we can do this or how we can do that. But nobody was standing on, okay, we can't do anything. Well, there's nothing that can be done. Well, that's it. Everybody has suggestions and they're motivated to move forward. And I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Carter. Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
Wow, it has been, it's been
I'm looking at my
a
calendar.
crazy
Yeah.
couple of weeks.
Mhm.
I'm going to try to highlight some of these, even though some of these events did not occur directly in El Centro. I think it's important that we support community events in the Valley because so often I hear from people that they don't have enough to do out here, that they have to go out of town for events and festivals, and my calendar begs to differ. So we'll start off with some business. We had a ECRMC Board Finance Committee meeting on the 17th. The following day, we had the Mardi Gras King and Queen coronation right here in our city hall. That was a beautiful event. I'd like to thank the staff for all the work that they did for decorating. They literally turned our courtyard into a completely different place. It was amazing. That night, I also had the Imperial Valley Economic Development Corporation dinner. Then that weekend, that's when all the events really started. We had the brisket cook-off in Brawley. That was a wonderful event, tons of good food, and those guys are dedicated. They were out there from the previous night.
Yeah,
Some of them
cooking.
cooked all night to make brisket, to be ready at 9 a.m. Then we had the 4th Annual Tamale Festival. I know that Councilmember Cardenas Singh and I participated as judges. Boy, those were a lot of tamales. But somebody had to do it, so we bravely volunteered.
One for the team.
Definitely sacrificed ourselves. I want to tell you that it was hard work. I'd like to thank you for being there. Then there was also the grand opening of the Prestige Event Center in Heber. That's a wonderful location. We've been using it for all sorts of different things. They've had some live shows there. They've had some lucha libre there. And that's also going to be the area where they have the state of the county address. So it's a wonderful location for events, and definitely go out there. They do have a restaurant as well. Then we had something historic where we had the Attorney General come down to our little city right here in a often forgotten part of California, coming to our brand new library and meeting with all of the local electeds, speaking to our public safety officers and our district attorney, of course. And it was just great to talk to him about some policy. You know, he was very gracious. He definitely gave us his attention and his time, and it was wonderful to meet him. I was very, very impressed. It was the first time that I've met him. And, you know, I think that he's definitely out there and talking to people, and he wants to hear the concerns that we deal with in our local communities. So that's refreshing, to say the least. On a somber note, that same day, I attended a memorial for Mr. Rod Smart. Now, Mr. Rod Smart was the head of the Imperial Valley College Foundation, which I served on several years ago, but he was essentially the champion of that cause, raising money for IVC and seeing it grow to the levels that it's been growing. I mean, receiving the Aspen Award, just so many great things happening at IVC. And he was instrumental in getting funds to make sure that they could retain students, they could help out with programs, build facilities, all of this. He was a very, very involved gentleman. I had the pleasure to know him. He was an amazing golfer. He was also one of our colleagues, former council member from Brawley and former mayor. So his service to the community ran deep. And it was tragic that we lost him, but it was a wonderful memorial to him. And I'm glad I had the opportunity to attend. We also had a Board of Trustees meeting that day for ECRMC. Let's see what's next. We found a time capsule, but that kind of blew up a little bit. It's still in safe hands, though. We'll address that in what, 10 years?
No, more than 10
More than
years.
10 years? Yeah.
2076.
27? Oh
I know,
my
I
God,
won't be around then.
2076. Then on Thursday, the 25th, we had our Imperial County Division meeting for Cal Cities. I know that it was very well attended by our electeds in the county, talking about policy concerns. And of course, like Councilmember Oliva stated, 3 of us that sit on the El Centro City Council serve on those policy committees. They're extremely important, and we talked about goals. 4.
It's actually 4. Yeah.
4 of us serve on it. My mistake. And it is just, it's great to get together and to talk with other local electeds from the county and also discuss their priorities for the state and how it's going to affect, this little corner of California that we call home. So that was very important to attend. I have a public safety committee meeting in person in March as well, just like Councilmember Oliva has one. They do 4 meetings throughout the year. 3 of them are virtual, but we try to get together at least once. And I know that I've been receiving a lot of information regarding the Public Safety Committee and exactly what they're going to be trying to advocate for in the coming year. Let's see, then we had the CTR groundbreaking for Hell's Kitchen, the birth of Lithium Valley. It was impressive, to say the least, how many people took time out of their day to go to a dusty little plot of land that could revolutionize how we do things in Imperial Valley. Seeing the vision behind it, seeing the schematics for the first step of the project, and knowing how important that can be to future industry in this valley, and how using the resources that are naturally found in Imperial County can help everybody who lives here. It's an exciting time, and I was very, very proud to be there to meet the dignitaries that were there who came from all over the country just to be there to witness this groundbreaking event. Then the following day, we had the Farm to Preschool Festival at UCSD Extension in Holtville. And then we had the Holtville Rib Cook-Off, which they were trying to bring back. I know a lot of us have historically gone to the Holtville Rib Cook-Off, and 8 teams took the call to raise money for youth sports in Holtville, which is something that this council holds as a very high regard in terms of a goal. So 8 teams went out there. Again, these guys are committed, 4 or 5 in the morning out there making ribs for everybody, but most of them were all sold out by at least 12:30. So it was a great event. I'm sure they raised a bunch of money, and it's just great to have these community events so close to home. So there's definitely stuff to do. Let's see. Then we had our special city council meeting due to the inclement weather that we faced. Thanks to everybody that assisted in preparing, to setting up the sandbag stations. Thankfully, we did not get hit as hard as we expected. We seem to have been very lucky throughout the last several months with these weather systems moving through our region. I know that if you watch the news, San Diego has been inundated, and they are dealing with some very, very serious issues, as is Los Angeles. So, thankfully, we are not in that position, but it's great to know that we are proactive and that we try to get the information out to the community and also set up resources for them to protect their loved ones and their homes. That's it for me.
Wow, that was a long list. My gosh. I too was at many of the events and the historic, I should say, groundbreaking ceremonies that took place, and the swearing in of the Imperial Valley Healthcare District Board. Those are, we could say that we're very proud to have been a part of these things, especially the the healthcare of our community. And to be, out there with the groundbreaking ceremony of the birth of Lithium Valley, I was very proud and very, very honored to have been invited out there to witness that and to be amongst all of the dignitaries that were out there. I mean, you're talking federal and state level elected officials and appointees of our administration. So that was very impressive. I'd like to, go back to the coronation of our Mardi Gras King and Queen. As many of you know, we selected Matt and Cher Cowie as this year's Queen and King of the Mardi Gras, our Mardi Gras celebrations. But, none of that would have been possible if it had not been for the wonderful team of employees that we have here at City Hall. At the last minute, the person that was hired to decorate did not come through for us, and we hope that she's doing fine, because that's not something that she would have, done and canceled out on us. But then the team here came together and they decorated the courtyard. And, I still see some of the decorations hanging, and, it was just, I'm very proud, of the team that we have here that pulled together to make that event such a beautiful event and such a success. So I, extend my deepest gratitude to all of the team that participated in decorating for that evening. I too was at the Heber Tamale Festival, and unfortunately I didn't get to taste any of the tamales, but I know that Councilmember Carolina Singh brought back a few, and I kind of taste tested a couple of them, but it was nice to be out there, something to support other communities, not just here within El Centro. Our Cal Cities Division meeting, let's see, we had our homeless task force meeting, and I also wish to extend my gratitude to Ana Garcia, our code enforcement officer, and to Officer Carlos Bernal from the Community Relations Unit with the Police Department. They are our boots on the ground when it comes to interacting with the unsheltered individuals in our community. They know, many of them, they've come to know many of them and what their stories are. There are, so many different types of homeless individuals, those that because of unfortunate circumstances ended up where they are, or those that because of other, factors in their life are out on the streets. And then there's those that would like to be helped and those that would not like to be helped. And so, I'd like to thank Chief Sawyer, Deputy Chief Brown, Commander McNish, for providing us the insight into, what we can and cannot do, as a city, when it comes to addressing the homelessness issues. There's so many factors that come into play, and we try our best because, many times, many of these individuals, they have rights just like we do. And so, and as Chief Sawyer stated, it's not a crime to be homeless, but at the same time, we know that many of these individuals, become public nuisances, and that's where we have to address that issue because of the concern from our residents in the community. And so we just want to say that little by little, we're making strides. We're thinking outside the box as to how we can curb the situation in our community. And hopefully, maybe we can, I'm working on something that I'm hoping will soon become a reality. And, maybe these individuals, give these individuals a sense of purpose and meaning, and hopefully that little bit of a nudge will help them turn their lives around. So little by little, it's happening and it's improving. And I know that, we hear from many residents in the community and their concerns. And so, we are listening and we're working on it. Okay, so, my gosh, let's see. So I'd like to also go on with if many of you visit our Facebook and our Instagram pages, you would have already seen many of the items that I'm going to review with you, but we have a summer recreation program survey that's currently available on the homepage of our website at cityofelcentro.org. Please take a moment, to share with us what programs, activities, sports that you would like to see offered during the summer months, for the children of our community. So the survey is available in both English and Spanish. And, just take a few minutes to complete the survey and give us a better idea of what it is that you would like to see offered. The demolition of the El Centro Police Building has begun. As you've noticed, I know that Broadway, when some of the lanes on Broadway are closed, and that's all in proximity to the police department. I passed by there last night, so I got to say, I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get to the credit union? So, all righty, we have some road closures. So, and that's 11th and 12th Streets around Broadway, and also along Highway 86 between Adams Avenue and West Commercial Avenue, which is over on the east end of town. And let's see, that'll be reduced to one lane in each direction for 30 days as Caltrans continues its beautification of the median. Oh, excuse me, I'm really sorry. This is just right here down the street from us. Okay, and that's part of the Clean California Initiative. Then the El Centro Police Department is launching their Police Community Academy. And this is an opportunity for members of our community to see what it's like to be a member of law enforcement. And so if you would like to participate on this hands-on defensive tactic communication skills SWAT training and K9 demonstrations, please call Sergeant Adrian Chilpa at 760-790-7053 for more information. The Imperial Avenue Complete Streets Plan Survey. Now, the Complete Streets Plans addresses the, let's see, the portion of Imperial Avenue that extends from Adams through, is it Bradshaw or Crankshaw? Threshold? Oh, all the way out there. So, what we're looking for is input from the community and how we can make that corridor much safer and more welcoming to, pedestrian traffic, bicycles, and so on. Because as you know, once you pass Adams, it kind of turns into somewhat of a highway. So we had a survey out there, and that was a success. We had 448 responses, so that's great, because, that as citizens of El Centro, I think a lot of people have concerns about that portion of Imperial Avenue. And so as you've seen that, we've had quite a bit of rain lately. And so thankfully the rain was not as severe as we expected, but we have been prepared as we were, when we had that hurricane coming back in September. So I want to thank our city manager, Mr. Cedric Cesenia, Mr. Abraham Campos, and all of the public works team for being prepared with sand and bags. This time it was a self-serve. What Abraham is pointing to. And fires. Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Because I'm sure that the community was very appreciative of that. I know that back in September when we had that storm, my gosh, I could not believe how far the line for those sandbags extended. But again, being here for our community is important. And then lastly, Mondays with the mayor. And so I had my first Monday with the mayor back on, let me see, it was January the 22nd. My gosh, a lot of things happened on the 22nd, and that was a day that it rained heavily as well. So what Mondays with the mayor is I'd like to invite, the community to come out in a very informal setting, to share concerns, suggestions on how we can improve the quality of life in our community. And we are holding these events at local small businesses that, so this gives an opportunity to also showcase, those businesses to the community. And we're doing those from 8 to 9 o'clock in the morning. My next one will be next Monday, February the 12th, and it'll be at the Boba Tea Shop, which is located right on the corner of Park and 8th Street, okay, in that little complex where the meat market is. So we invite the community to come out to that. And so that concludes all of the activity that we've had since our last meeting, my goodness. And it is now 6:56.
City manager.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Cedric Cesenia, I'm so sorry. You've been so quiet over there.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. I'm just still trying to get better here.
I know.
The first line item I had here to discuss was, or share, was the Mondays with the mayor. I actually had a really good time actually talking to our citizens and hearing directly from them. So it was a good time. We also, since our last meeting, sworn in 3 new employees for the city. Community services, finance, and public works have seen new additions to their families. I also had the opportunity to attend, along with other city staff, Congressman Dr. Raul Reese's Appropriations 101 workshop here in the city of El Centro. Had the opportunity to also attend the NAFL Centro Community Leadership Luncheon along with the mayor. And then on the sandbags and sand and rain, it's always a good time anytime that we prepare for an event and nothing happens. It's actually what we look forward to. But the reality is that if we fail to prepare, we prepare to fail. So I'd like to thank everybody who was involved, from fire, police, public works, community services, the staff at Fire Station number 3, the staff at the community center. We've opened up our parks to 3 different locations to have sand available. Our plan for this week, since we do have a couple of additional days of rain, is to have additional sandbags available throughout the week, as well as sand sites. So look at our public social media accounts for additional information as to where those will be. But most certainly, with the ground being saturated at this point, it'll be probably a little bit more of a problem. Definitely want to thank staff at the Mardi Gras coronation. I had absolutely zero idea that somebody didn't show up. I was in my office working all day and in and out of meetings. When I finally stepped outside and looked at how beautiful everything looked, I was surprised to hear that there was absolutely no hitch along getting things done. And then last but not least, as I always do, I want to shout out to Human Resources, Dulce and Diana and staff out there. We have the weight loss challenge, as well as the stepping stone something or other, which I'm not participating in. But the most painful is the weight loss challenge. I'm having to pay quite a bit this year. Certainly not losing, but gaining. Anyways, that's the end of my report, Madam Mayor.
Oh, Cedric, I know. All righty. So it is now 6:59, and so this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.